Hey friend, do you have a history of drinking alcohol and feel like it's done something to your gut? If so, how do you heal your gut? Or even, can you heal it? This question came in anonymously from my Instagram stories, and I'm so excited to talk through it with you today. The great news is that yes, you can heal your gut. And today I'm going to share with you 5 keys to healing your gut after years of drinking alcohol. These are the 5 things I've done over and over again with my clients who've had a history of drinking alcohol, and it's a little different than just your run-of-the-mill things to look at in your gut. So if you're ready, let's jump on in. Hey friend, welcome to the Better Belly podcast. Do you want freedom from bloating and constipation? Do you find yourself up late at night Googling natural constipation remedies, causes for bloating, or recipes and exercises to help constipation? Are you frustrated with the mind game of trying to figure out what foods are helping or hurting your gut? Hey, I'm Allison, mom, wife, and functional gut health practitioner. At a young age, bloating and constipation were my constants. I didn't know what to do and wished I could just live a normal life focusing on my passions, my job, and my family. I was tired of abdominal pain that woke me up at night and wasting time and money on gut health remedies that just didn't work. Breakthrough moment, the functional medicine and osteopathic approach to gut health. In this podcast, you will find natural remedies for bloating and constipation, practical, doable belly exercises and massages, and debunk the myths about what really is causing your tummy problems. So toss out those laxatives and say goodbye to that embarrassing gas. Your gut health is calling. And just as a reminder, this information is not meant to diagnose, manage, or treat disease. Always consult with your own health practitioner before you make any changes to your health. All right, guys, so it is the last week where you can get in your review to the Better Belly podcast and have the opportunity to get a free Unstuck session with me and win free access to Blood Lab Bootcamp. If you have not heard of either of these things, they are 2 phenomenal things that I offer. Blood Lab Bootcamp teaches you how to read your blood work through the functional medicine lens and know exactly what to do that your doctor is not telling you, so you can find freedom from your gut health and health problems. The Unstuck session, on the other hand, gets my eyes on your health, and you walk away with 2 to 5 specific tactical things that you can do in your health to get unstuck, so you're no longer guessing or trying things that don't work. If you are ready to get clarity in your health and finally stop spinning your wheels, I highly recommend submitting a review to the podcast and sharing what you're loving about the Better Belly podcast so you can get the opportunity to win, again, free access to Blood Lab Bootcamp, my online course, and an Unstuck session with me. Just go to Better Belly Podcast or betterbellytherapies.com/Apple or click the link in the show notes to leave a review on our Apple Podcasts. If you do not have an Apple iPhone or a Mac device, you can grab a friend's phone, use theirs, and submit it and take a screenshot and email it to hello@betterbellytherapies.com, where we are collecting all your answers. And again, if you missed any of that, all the instructions are going to be in the show notes. But before we start today's episode, I just want to read one of our reviews that has come in since we started this contest here in April. This comes from Kay Winkies. Her review says, Better Bellies for life. The Better Belly podcast has changed my perspective on the way I eat, my body, and how to heal. After deep prayer of asking God why I've been suffering from chronic sinusitis for over 10 years, he led me to the Better Belly podcast. Specifically, he led me to the gut and sinus connection. After listening, I knew that I was finally taking steps in the right direction. This episode really encouraged me to go do deep research and get the root cause of my allergies, which is inflammation in my liver. This podcast has given me so much more confidence to walk in my healing journey. I've stopped using nasal sprays and Claritin, which were prescribed to me by my doctor when I was 14 years old. Kay Winkies, this is an amazing testimonial. I'm so excited for you. So glad that this podcast has been helpful. And thanks for leaving a review. And you have been submitted into the Better Belly podcast contest for, again, free access to Blood Lab Bootcamp and an Unstuck session with me. So cross your fingers, wait for the announcement next week on the podcast for who the winner is, and we will be emailing you and letting you know if you won. So get in your review, email a screenshot of that review to us at hello@betterbellytherapies, and you will be submitted for this contest. All right, guys, now jumping into the topic today, my five top tips and keys to healing your gut after years of drinking alcohol. So here are my 5 tips. Number 1, have a plan for how to stay away from alcohol. Now, this might not be apply to you. Maybe you're just like, that was in my past. It's in my past. Not a big deal. But if you do feel like you still have a tenuous relationship with alcohol, I would highly recommend checking out my friend Jess's podcast, the Decidedly Dry podcast. She has a community made just for women who are sober or sober curious and helps them heal their relationship with alcohol and find freedom in every area of your life. I have been on her podcast. I'm friends with Jess. She's a phenomenal podcast educator, encourager. I love Jess. And so if this is you in any way, shape, or form, and you just want some encouragement on your sober journey or being sober curious, go check out the Decidedly Dry podcast. We will have a link in the show notes for you. That's step number 1, is just feel confident in what your plan is and that being something that you don't feel is just hovering over you, because that will create a lot of extra anxiety, discouragement, etc. That's number 1. Number 2, I want you to think about detoxing your liver. Now, you might already be aware that the alcohol is notorious for harming the liver. And there's a simple way that you can help start to re-heal your liver. You don't have to wait till you have liver disease. You're not like your liver is one and done. You did something to it. It can never bounce back. There are things you can do. So number 1, a supplement called liver nutrients. Number 2, a supplement called liposomal glutathione. And number 3, something called a castor oil pack. These 3 things are super powerful in helping your liver basically shake itself up and start to push out all the toxins that have accumulated in it. And it's not just alcohol that the liver can get toxin accumulation in. It's estrogen, and it's all the toxins that we come into contact with in our environment, and pathogens and illnesses in your past. All these things can burden the liver and decrease its functionality, which it has so many functions. And when you heal your liver, there are so many benefits because it touches every part of the body. It can help your skin. If you want to learn more about that, go check out episode 45, the gut-skin connection. Is your gut flaring up your skin? By the way, if it is, it's because your liver is not doing its job and needs help and love. You can also helping your liver can also help your sinuses. And I talk about this more in episode 47, the gut sinus connection, which is the same episode that was mentioned to by Kay Winkies, our review. The review that I left in this podcast episode is she's talking about the gut sinus connection episode, where I talk about the liver's involvement in your sinus health. So if you're having any sinus problems, on top of knowing you have alcohol use in the past, or even if you're listening to this and you don't have a lot of alcohol use in your past history, you could still use a lot of liver love, because we are all exposed to so many toxins, whether it's chemicals or things we're breathing in, or things we're putting on our skins, or things we're eating. Again, it's super helpful. And when you do these 2 supplements and this 1 castor oil pack, they have either ingredients that the liver naturally needs to detoxify, and so it gives the liver the actual building blocks it needs, which we get some of them from food, but these supplements give you it in a super powered way. And then the castor oil pack is something you put topically over your liver. The castor oil pack I recommend is from Queen of Thrones. It's organic castor oil, which is huge that it's organic, doesn't have toxins in it. But also the castor oil pack that comes with it means you don't have this super messy, extremely long way of setting up a castor oil pack. You literally just put the castor oil on this pack that has wool on one side, and then it's water, or it's water resistant, oil resistant on the other. You wrap it around the right side of your body where your liver is, and you sleep on it. It's literally set it and forget it. Wake up, take your shower, do whatever you need to do, and then move on. And it helps your liver detox throughout the night. This can help you even with your sleep, which I talk about more in episode 42, 6 secrets your sleep can tell you about your gut. Now, I chatted with my friend Jess on the Decidedly Dry podcast and learned that in the sober community, there is this thing talked about for people who have a history of drinking alcohol, of when you drink alcohol, waking up at that 3 a.m. in the morning. If this has been your experience, or you remember that being the case when you were drinking alcohol, this is because your liver is turning on at night. Literally 2 to 4 a.m. is known as liver hour in functional medicine and in traditional Chinese medicine, because the liver will turn on to catch up on any processes it hasn't been able to do during the daytime. This will then wake you up. And not only will it wake you up in the middle of the night, 2 to 4 a.m., but it will also potentially cause you to sweat because it's starting to pump so much blood through itself, that is the liver, that it warms you up. So detoxing the liver is super, super powerful. I have a free total liver detox protocol. If you go to betterbellytherapies.com/liver or check the link in the show notes, you can get everything I mentioned here, plus some videos to guide you through things, instructions, so you know exactly how to do things, what dosage to do these supplements at, and you get 10% off all the supplements that I recommend by going and just getting this free liver detox protocol, again, at betterbellytherapies.com/liver. And I've made this free just because so many people can benefit from it, and you don't need any lab testing. I just want to bless you with it. So go check that out. Join betterbellytherapies.com/liver, join my liver detox protocol, and go check it out. That's number 2. Honestly, number 2 is a doozy. Super great. Number 3, sweat. The liver, when it can't do all of its jobs, ends up detoxing through your skin. And your skin is a great way that you can lighten the burden on your liver. So any way that you can get yourself sweating is a win. If it's exercise and sweating, that's great. If it's a sauna and sweating, that's great. Those are the 2 things that I find I typically recommend to people. And especially if you find that exercise is really hard for you. So like you're exercise sensitive, you feel very tired during, after exercising, you feel worse opposed to better. You feel like you fatigue really quickly when you exercise. Ignore the exercise part, but do sweat. And one of the best ways to passively sweat is with a sauna. I have a at-home sauna that I highly recommend. It's very small. You can fold it up and put it away when you're not using it, and then you can unfold it, or you even travel with it if you want to. And I will be putting a link in the show notes for this, but it's TheraSage. Their sauna support systems are amazing. So otherwise, if you don't have a problem, if you can find a sauna near you at your local YMCA or gym, that works great too. It doesn't have to be super fancy. If it has infrared too, that's awesome. TheraSage has that additionally, but just sweating point blank is so great for your liver and detoxing the whole body. Number 4, I want you to track down your pathogens. And this is I have seen this very consistently with anybody with a history of using alcohol in the past. I even have specific clients I've worked with who we can actually track down all of their gut health problems to maybe a freshman year where they know they drank way too much alcohol. And then literally their sophomore, junior, senior year, they weren't drinking any alcohol at all. But what happens when you are overusing alcohol is you set yourself up for something specifically called a candida overgrowth. Candida is something we all have in our gut. It's a yeast. There's a lot of studies that actually say it's beneficial in the right amounts. It actually helps us do certain things. It's symbiotic. But if it has the wrong environment, it will just overgrow. And so alcohol or candida eats alcohol and then begins to flourish. And on top of that, then candida takes up the same detoxification enzyme that alcohol requires for you to detoxify alcohol. It's called the ALDH enzyme, and that's the aldehyde dehydrogenase. For any of my science nerds out there, that alcohol uses to make aldehyde. If acetaldehyde, that's the toxin that makes you feel hungover. So what happens is you drink alcohol, candida is set up to overgrow. It then overgrows. It's taking up this ALDH enzyme. So you're actually constantly, that your ability to detox aldehyde begins to decrease, but then you're still drinking alcohol. So you have extra acetaldehyde floating around because your body can't get rid of it. And then this detoxifies your whole body. And then of course sets you up for even more candida overgrowth. So usually there's a massive candida overgrowth problem when I'm dealing with anybody with a pretty strong drinking background. And what will happen is the body just can't regulate that pathogen anymore, and you'll get all the symptoms of a candida overgrowth. It's going to be like bloating, foggy headedness, painful menstrual cycles, achy fingers and joints from something we call systemic inflammation, leaky gut, increasing food sensitivity, sensitivity to carbs, sensitivity to alcohol. All these things are super difficult. And so the way you support the ALDH enzyme, part of that is literally through the liver nutrients and liver support I just mentioned in step number 2. So alpha lipoic acid, which is in liver nutrients. Vitamin C is super powerful. N-acetylcysteine, which is also in liver nutrients. The actual supplement that's the name of the supplement that I recommend, and is in my free total liver support protocol. Again, at betterbellytherapies.com/liver. Some B1 vitamin, which is thiamine. And a lot of this is packed into that liver nutrient supplement. So that's one way you can support that specific enzyme process. But then once Candida overgrows, your immune system gets blasted. So I recommend doing a GI map or an organic acids test to check out your Candida and then deal with that. That is something I do in my foundations program, is help people figure out what pathogens you're actually dealing with and making sure they don't come back. I will make a little disclaimer that Candida can be difficult to get rid of, because if it only overgrows opportunistically. So if you don't change the environment that it's in, it will overgrow again. And the environment it's in could have to do with how much stomach acid you're making, how much bile you're producing, how much motility your gut has. I don't have a full episode on Candida yet for this podcast. Now I'm thinking I'll do it, but that's just a hint that whoever you work with or however you try to get rid of your Candida, make sure you're thinking globally as far as your whole body health. Whoever's doing lab testing with you, whoever's working with you, it shouldn't just be diet change. It shouldn't just be supplements to kill Candida. They really should be looking at, is there anything else that is enabling Candida to overgrow in your body? Dealing with that, and then you will not have any problems with Candida overgrowing, which does happen to people. So that's number 4. Check out your pathogens. Make sure you don't have any other parasites or any other things that would enable Candida to overgrow as well. And then last step, number 5, balance your minerals. I see this not happen a lot with people in their health in any way, shape, and form, but alcohol unbalances minerals. And so you could have calcium that is unbalanced, magnesium, zinc. Most of the water soluble vitamins are really impacted. That's all of your B vitamins. And your B vitamins are super impactful and important for things working like your MTHFR gene, making sure that you can methylate and detox estrogen well. So take some methylated B vitamins, but also do an HTMA test, which is a hair tissue mineral test, and look at what your mineral levels are like. This is a test that I do in my foundations program, because it's so important that your minerals are on board for you to heal long-term, feel good, stay feeling good, and keep your pathogens out, keep your immunity high, have good energy, all those things that drinking alcohol can deplete. So those are my 5 keys to healing your gut after drinking alcohol. Number 1, have a plan for how to stay away from alcohol. Number 2, detox the liver. Number 3, sweat. Number 4, track down those pathogens. Number 5, balance your minerals. And if you want to do that and you are ready to do that, I would love to partner with you and do that with you in my foundations program. If you're ready, go to betterbellytherapies.com/waitlist. Join my foundations program waitlist. I work with 1 to 2 new people every single month, and I email the people on that waitlist to let you know when I'm taking new clients on. And if you were the first to respond and take a slot, then it's yours. You don't have to wait for anybody else on the list. If you are the one who responds, it's yours. So join the Better Belly Foundations waitlist by going to betterbellytherapies.com/waitlist, and I would love to see you in there. Hey friend, I hope you loved this episode. If you've been a fan for a while or newly loving this podcast, can you do me a favor? Drop into Apple Podcasts and leave me a review. When you leave a review, you do so much. You help me know you're listening, you can tell me what you're loving so I know what to make more of, and you help others by boosting this podcast so other people like you can find the podcast too. I mean, it's a win-win-win, right? So if you want a way to pay it forward, just go to Apple Podcasts or click the link in my show notes and leave a rating and review. And if you want some more free stuff, just head over to my free Facebook group, betterbellytherapies.com/Facebook, and you can get access to all of my free support for you, including some Facebook group exclusive stuff like my podcast episode vault, where you can search the Better Belly podcast by topic and find exactly what you need to expedite your healing. I cannot wait to see you in there. Catch you guys next week.